I set up my stall here. I have some sympathy with the police officers faced with such a huge protest, and I actually think they've been doing quite a good job, which may irritate some of my talk radio presenters. What do you make of it, Ken?
Well, this is unprecedented what's happening.
Yes.
A lot of my colleagues who are out there now are fresh out of the box, so to speak. They've never seen anything like this. And on top of that, I have to say, because I've been out there, and I've been out there most days looking at it and monitoring it and, assessing it. And I've never seen a group of people who are happy to be arrested, happy with life, and it's quite bizarre. So you've got to balance this, and to balance it is to say that firstly, we are on top of it. We are dealing with it, and I can tell you there will be robust measures carried out over the next couple of days to deal more assertively with what we're faced with. But can I just add one little bit? If my colleagues all drew their batons and started running at these people and being quite ultra-aggressive, I can guarantee you what the headlines would be. We're trying to deal with this in a fair, proportionate way. I accept that they're blocking highways. They are breaking the law. No one's saying they're not breaking the law, but we will deal with it.
I mean, one of the arguments that doesn't go down too well in talk radio towers is when I point out that, much as my colleagues might not want to believe it, is many of these protesters will either have jobs or have worked and paid taxes, and therefore their taxes would have contributed to some degree to the police officers' pay. And whilst their actions may be illegal, lots of people break the law all the time, there does seem to be some suggestion, and I've heard it both from the protesters and also from the more cynical media, that some police officers may be sympathetic to the cause of the Extinction Rebellion protest.
No, I wouldn't agree with that at all. That's not, we're completely impartial. Our job is to serve and protect and keep the public safe. That's what we do. They're not out there with an opinion around what is taking place. I know a lot of them are baffled by what's taking place because I've stood and spoken to quite a few of them, and they can't quite believe that they're standing next to a pink ship in the middle of a public highway in the centre of London. This is quite strange what's going on, but we are on top of it.
The protesters, I mean, Jamie Kelsey-Fryer, one of the organisers that I've spoken to, was telling me before the protest came into fruition, so 5 days ago and longer, that there had been full discussions with the police about the intentions of the protest. Now, if that is the case, was it wise for the police to accept a range of protests and demonstrations that literally bring the city to a standstill? I mean, why occupy 3 bridges? Why not just one? Why block off 4 or 5 major parts of London? Just one.
Okay, let's just kill the myths and talk about the truth. The police did have discussions and they agreed designated places that people could voice their opinion, which wasn't in the centre of public highways at all.
Right.
That's the first thing. The second thing is every single demonstration that is on a public road had never been agreed, never would be agreed by the police for them to do that. They are breaking the law.
Right. Here's Kevin.
Ken, I was out and about among these demonstrators on Monday, and it was very good-natured. I spoke to a lot of them, and I thought the police got it just right. I think now, though, I also spoke to Londoners whose kind of attitude was a sort of amused irritation, no more than that. But as this has gone on day after day after day, amused irritation is giving way to a kind of fury. And I think Londoners are starting to ask, look, well, when are the police going to do something about this, and they've let this carnival atmosphere go on too long?
Yeah, I don't disagree with your sentiment, and I know you, and we talk. I get fully what you're saying, and I can only reiterate, because I've been quite critical up till this morning, that we weren't getting enough instruction. There wasn't enough taking place from the senior management. There is now. Jane Connors has been excellent. There's a strategy in place. I'm not going to detail it publicly to you, but there is a strategy in place, and I can assure you that over the next couple of days you will see a complete change as to what's going to happen. But you've got to accept that the legislation we're talking about is for highway obstruction and breach of the peace and all sorts of absurd laws which date back 200 years. We've had to pick our way through this and find the best way of dealing with it, and we are doing that.
I'm very mindful of something you alluded to earlier, which is that there's if you were to be seen charging in, you would be making lots of negative headlines, perhaps not in the Daily Mail, but elsewhere. Now, that said, I did see some stuff on social media yesterday which was being billed as police snatch squads, which seemed to be maybe 40 or 50 officers.
Right.
What were they doing?
Right. So these groups of individuals are highly trained. They're level 1, what we call level 1 officers. So you have level 1, level 2 public officer and level 3. These are level 1 officers who are highly trained in restraint and control. You might have seen people who are arrested become passive and feeble.
Yes.
They don't move. So we have to carry them. Now, as soon as we put hands on someone, they are our property and we are responsible. If that individual leapt back and cracked their head on the floor, on a curb or whatever, and split it in half, we would be solely responsible for that, and 100 people would film it. So we have to have these groups of individual officers who are specially trained in how to carry people away, how to deal with individuals like this, and how to protect and be safe towards them.
Do you have any concerns? I mean, it's difficult to gauge, but as I said, I'm watching monitors around Westminster, and it does appear that hundreds, if not thousands, of new protesters are coming to the area, which I'm assuming, I mean, it seems obvious, will make the police job even more difficult over a very long bank holiday weekend.
Absolutely, but listen, we can't stop the free movement of people. That's the first thing. The second thing is there's an awful lot of tourists in London at the moment. You've only got to pop your head out there and walk around, and there's 1,000 languages being spoken. There's a lot of tourism happening, which is great. So to unpick the people who are this group, that group, is very difficult. We are on top of it, and I keep reiterating it because we are, funny enough, very good at what we do. We are on top of it, and it will be resolved very soon.
Do we think we should start introducing a Metropolitan Police rave dancing championship? Because some of the officers, they've got some busting moves.
Yeah, I mean, as you well know, I'm here to represent my colleagues and protect them, so I couldn't possibly comment on that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, what I would say is they're working 12, 14, 16-hour days. They're getting about 6 hours off. They're back again the next day, and they're going to be doing this day after day. You know, cut them a bit of slack if they want to dance a few moves.
Listen, I am not throwing stones, Ken. I'm really not. I'm a veteran of Notting Hill carnivals, more carnivals than I care to remember, and always impressed by how well the Metropolitan Police serve the community there. And they've done a pretty good job, I think, of keeping the mood nice and respectful. And I do allow for the fact that it is hugely inconvenient to a lot of people. And I'm mindful, I'm seeing someone, a lad in Nottingham who's a delivery driver, and he's been told no more deliveries while the protest goes on. No more deliveries for him will mean no more wages. Ken Marsh, Chair of the Metropolitan Police Federation, lovely talking to you. Yes, they've got it right, haven't they?
Yeah, it's just gone on a bit too long. I'm just wondering if they'll clear Waterloo Bridge by tomorrow morning for people who are going to Brighton who've got to drive there. I'm asking for a friend.
I'm more concerned about the numbers of people coming in. I think it's there were 100 tents, they say, camped up at Marble Arch. When I was coming into work today, a number of people on cycles, bicycles going past with tents, and I'm seeing hundreds, as I said, on the monitors.
So they're flooding in now.
They are flooding in, which can make a difficult situation that bit harder. I guess if you're planning to come into London over the Easter weekend, unless you're planning to protest, I would suggest you think again.
Don't come to London.